The doorbell chimed, sending a jolt of panic through my body. I glanced at the kitchen clock. 5:45 p.m. Selina was early, of course. She always arrived ahead of schedule, probably to catch me unprepared. I wiped my flour-covered hands on my apron and rushed to the front door, plastering on a smile. "Emily, dear," Selina cooed as I opened the door. Her eyes swept over me, lingering on my messy apron. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything important." "Not at all, Selina. Happy birthday." I stepped aside, allowing her to glide past me into the foyer. "Mitch and Samantha should be home any minute." Selina's perfectly manicured eyebrow arched. "Oh? I assumed they'd be here helping you prepare for the party." I bit back a retort. "Mitch had a late meeting, and Samantha's at her piano lesson. But don't worry, everything's under control." A lie, of course. Nothing was under control. I'd been juggling work calls all day while trying to bake a cake, prepare hors d'oeuvres, and decorate the house for Selina's 60th birthday party. And where was my husband? Nowhere to be found, as usual. "I'm sure it is, dear," Selina said, her tone dripping with condescension. She followed me into the kitchen, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. My goodness, what a mess. I gritted my teeth. "I was just finishing up the cake. Would you like a glass of wine while we wait for the others?" "That would be lovely." Selina perched on a bar stool, watching me like a hawk as I poured her a glass of red. "You know, Emily, I've been meaning to have a little chat with you." My stomach clenched. Selina's little chats were never good news. "Oh," she took a sip of wine, her eyes never leaving mine. "I'm concerned about you and Mitch. You seem distant lately." "We're fine," I said quickly. "Just busy with work and Samantha." Selina set down her glass with a sharp clink. "Are you sure about that? Because I happen to know something that might change your mind." My heart raced. "What are you talking about? Did you know that Mitch had an affair a few years ago?" The world tilted on its axis. I gripped the edge of the counter to steady myself. "That's not true." Selina's lips curved into a cruel smile. "Oh, but it is. And if you don't want to lose your husband and your daughter, you'd better step up your game." "Is that a threat?" I asked, my voice shaking. "Consider it friendly advice," Selina replied, standing up. "Now, where should I put my coat?" I pointed numbly toward the closet, my mind reeling. As Selina sashayed away, the front door burst open. "Mommy, we're home!" Samantha's voice rang out. Mitch appeared in the kitchen doorway, Samantha perched on his hip. "Hey, honey, sorry we're late. Traffic was a nightmare." I stared at my husband, searching his face for any sign of guilt or deception. Could Selina be telling the truth? "Emily?" Mitch frowned. "Are you okay? You look pale." I forced a smile. "I'm fine, just a little stressed about the party." Mitch set Samantha down and came over to kiss my cheek. "Don't worry. I'm here now. What can I do to help?" As I rattled off a list of tasks, my mind raced. How could I confront Mitch about Selina's accusation? And if it was true, what would I do? The doorbell chimed again, signaling the arrival of more guests. I took a deep breath, pushing my turmoil aside. I had a party to host, after all. But as I plastered on another fake smile and headed for the door, one thought echoed in my mind. This night was far from over. The morning after Selina's party, I sat at the kitchen table, nursing a cup of coffee and a pounding headache. Mitch had already left for work, and Samantha was at school. The house was eerily quiet, allowing Selina's words to echo in my mind. I shook my head, trying to dismiss her accusations. Mitch wouldn't cheat on me. Would he? But as I replayed the past few months in my head, doubt crept in like a poisonous vine. The late nights at the office, the secretive phone calls, the way he'd become distant both emotionally and physically. My phone buzzed, startling me out of my thoughts. It was a text from Gibbs, my father-in-law. "Emily, are you free for lunch today? We need to talk." I hesitated before replying. Gibbs had always been kind to me, more of a father than my own had ever been. If anyone could help me make sense of this mess, it was him. "Sure, Gibbs. The usual place at 12:30? An hour later, I found myself sitting across from Gibbs in our favorite diner. He looked troubled, his usually jovial face creased with worry. "Emily, my dear," he began, reaching across the table to pat my hand. "I couldn't help but notice the tension between you and Mitch last night. Is everything all right?" I swallowed hard, fighting back tears. I don't know, Gibbs. Selina said something to me before the party, about Mitch." Gibbs's eyebrows furrowed. What did she say? She told me Mitch had an affair a few years ago. The words tumbled out in a rush, and she threatened that if I didn't step up my game, I'd lose him and Samantha. Gibbs's face darkened. That woman, he muttered, always meddling where she doesn't belong. Is it true? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Did Mitch really have an affair? Gibbs sighed heavily. Emily, I don't know for certain, but I've had my suspicions for a while now. Mitch has been different lately. Distracted, secretive. My heart sank. I've noticed it too. I just didn't want to believe it. Listen to me, Gibbs said, his voice firm. You don't deserve this uncertainty. You're a wonderful woman and an excellent mother. If my son has been foolish enough to jeopardize that, then he doesn't deserve you. Tears welled up in my eyes. What should I do, Gibbs? Let me do some digging, he replied. I have a few contacts who might be able to help us get to the bottom of this. In the meantime, try to act normal around Mitch. That means we don't want to tip him off if there's really something going on. I nodded, grateful for his support. As we finished our lunch, I felt a glimmer of hope. At least I wasn't alone in this. That evening, as I prepared dinner, Mitch came home later than usual. He barely looked at me as he loosened his tie and grabbed a beer from the fridge. How was your day? I asked, trying to keep my voice casual. Fine, he grunted. Just busy. Big project coming up. I watched him closely, searching for any sign of guilt or deception. But his face remained impassive, giving nothing away. Daddy! Samantha's voice rang out as she bounded into the kitchen. Can we play catch in the backyard? Mitch's face softened as he looked at our daughter. Not tonight, sweetheart. Daddy's tired. Maybe this weekend, okay? Samantha's face fell, and I felt a surge of anger. How dare he neglect our daughter like this? As we sat down to dinner, the tension was palpable. Samantha chattered away, oblivious to the strained silence between her parents. My phone buzzed with a text. It was Gibbs. Found something. Call me when you're alone. My heart raced as I excused myself from the table, claiming a work emergency. Locking myself in the bathroom, I dialed Gibbs's number with shaking hands. Emily, his voice was grave. I'm sorry, but it's true. Mitch had an affair, and I'm afraid it might not be over. The world spun around me as I gripped the sink for support. My worst fears confirmed. I knew nothing would ever be the same again. I stumbled through the next few days in a haze of disbelief and anger. Gibbs's confirmation of Mitch's affair had shattered my world, but I couldn't let it show. Not yet. I had to keep it together for Samantha's sake and to figure out my next move. At work, I found myself staring blankly at spreadsheets, unable to focus. My mind kept replaying every moment with Mitch, searching for clues I might have missed. Emily? My boss's voice snapped me back to reality. Are you all right? You seem distracted lately. I forced a smile. I'm fine, just a bit under the weather. I'll have the Johnson account finished by tomorrow, I promise. He nodded, but I could see the concern in his eyes. I had to pull myself together before I jeopardized my career too. That evening, I picked up Samantha from her piano lesson. As we drove home, she chattered excitedly about her upcoming recital. Mommy, will you and Daddy both come to watch me play? My heart clenched. Of course, sweetie. We wouldn't miss it for the world. But would Mitch really be there? Or would he have another late meeting with his mistress? As we pulled into the driveway, I saw Mitch's car already parked. Unusual for him to be home this early. Samantha raced inside while I lingered, steeling myself for another evening of pretending everything was normal. I found Mitch in the kitchen, pouring himself a glass of whiskey. He looked up as I entered, his eyes bloodshot and tired. Hey, he said, his voice rough. Can we talk? My pulse quickened. What about? He took a deep breath. I think we should see a marriage counselor. I stared at him, stunned. Was this his way of confessing? Or just another manipulation? Why? I asked, fighting to keep my voice steady. Mitch ran a hand through his hair. Things haven't been right between us for a while now. I thought maybe talking to someone could help. I wanted to scream, to throw his betrayal in his face. But Samantha's voice drifted down from upstairs, reminding me to stay calm. Okay, I said finally. If that's what you want. Relief flooded his face, and I felt a surge of bitterness. How dare he act like the victim here? Just then, my phone buzzed. A text from Gibbs. Need to see you. It's urgent. I have to go out for a bit, I told Mitch. Work emergency. He nodded, already turning back to his drink. I grabbed my keys and headed out, my mind racing. I met Gibbs at a small cafe across town. His face was grim as I sat down. "What's wrong?" I asked, fear gripping my heart. Gibbs slid a manila envelope across the table. "I'm so sorry, Emily, but you need to see this." With trembling hands, I opened the envelope. Inside were photos, dozens of them. Mitch with a beautiful blonde woman, holding hands, kissing, entering a hotel together. The timestamps showed they were taken just last week. "It's not over," Gibbs said softly. "The affair is still ongoing." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. All this time, while I'd been agonizing over a past indiscretion, Mitch had been actively cheating on me. "There's more," Gibbs continued. "I did some digging into Mitch's finances. He's been siphoning money from your joint account into a separate one. I think he might be planning to leave you." The world tilted on its axis. I gripped the edge of the table, fighting waves of nausea. "What do I do now?" I whispered. Gibbs reached across the table, squeezing my hand. "You fight, Emily. You protect yourself and Samantha. And you show Mitch and Selena that you're not a woman to be trifled with." As I sat there, surrounded by evidence of my husband's betrayal, something hardened inside me. The shock and pain gave way to a cold, clear anger. Gibbs was right. It was time to fight, and God help Mitch and Selena when I did. I spent the night tossing and turning. The damning photos of Mitch and his mistress burned into my mind. By morning, I had made my decision. It was time to confront him. As Mitch prepared to leave for work, I blocked the door. "We need to talk. Now." His eyes widened at my tone. "Emily, I'm going to be late." "Sit down, Mitch," I commanded, my voice ice-cold. Surprised by my forcefulness, he complied. I tossed the envelope of photos onto the coffee table. "Care to explain these?" The color drained from his face as he flipped through the images. "Emily, I can explain." "Save it," I snapped. "I know everything. The affair, the secret bank account. How long were you planning to string me along before leaving?" Mitch's shoulders slumped. "I never meant for this to happen. It just did." "That's your excuse?" "It just happened." I laughed bitterly. "What about our vows, Mitch? What about Samantha?" At the mention of our daughter, Mitch flinched. "I love Samantha. I love you both." "Clearly not enough," I retorted. "I want you out of this house, today." Panic flashed across his face. "Emily, please, we can work this out. I'll end it with her, I swear. We can go to counseling like I suggested." I was about to respond when my phone buzzed. It was Gibbs. "Emily, I'm on my way over with Selena. She needs to face this too." My heart raced. I hadn't planned on confronting Selena yet, but maybe it was better to rip off all the Band-Aids at once. "Your parents are on their way over," I told Mitch. "I think it's time we all had a little chat." Mitch paled further. "My mother? Emily, please, let's handle this privately." The doorbell cut him off. I strode to answer it, leaving Mitch sputtering on the couch. Gibbs entered first, his face grim. Selena followed, looking confused and irritated. "What's the meaning of this, Emily? I have a busy day ahead." Her words died as she saw Mitch on the couch, the incriminating photo spread before him. "Sit down, Selena," I said, my voice steady. "We have a lot to discuss." For the next hour, I laid out everything. The affair, the financial deception, Selena's threat at her birthday party. Gibbs backed me up, providing additional evidence he'd gathered. Selena's face cycled through shock, anger, and finally, a calculated calm. "Well," she said, smoothing her skirt, "these things happen in marriages. I'm sure if Emily had been more attentive—" "Don't you dare blame this on me," I snarled, surprising even myself with my vehemence. "Your son made his choices." "And you," I turned to Mitch, "you had the audacity to suggest counseling when you were still seeing her?" Mitch hung his head. "I'm sorry. I didn't know how to end it." Gibbs, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "Son, I've never been more disappointed in you, and Selena, your behavior is inexcusable." Selena bristled. "Now, Gilbert, let's not be hasty." "Enough," I said, standing. "This is what's going to happen. Mitch, you're moving out, today. I'll be contacting a lawyer about divorce proceedings. Selena, you're no longer welcome in this house or around Samantha until you can treat me with respect." "You can't do this," Selena hissed. "We'll fight you for custody." I smiled coldly. "Go ahead and try. I have all the evidence I need to ensure that doesn't happen." As they all stared at me in shock, I felt a strange sense of calm wash over me. For the first time in years, I was taking control of my life. "Now," I said, "I suggest you all leave. I have a daughter to pick up from school and a future to plan. As I watched them file out, Gibbs lingered. I'm proud of you, Emily, he said softly. You're stronger than you know. I nodded, fighting back tears. The road ahead would be tough, but I was ready to face it. For myself and for Samantha. The days following Mitch's departure were a blur of lawyers, paperwork, and sleepless nights. I threw myself into work, desperate for any distraction from the implosion of my personal life. But Selina, true to form, wasn't about to let me find peace. It started with incessant phone calls, which I ignored. Then came the barrage of texts, alternating between saccharine concern and thinly veiled threats. I blocked her number, but she always found new ways to reach me. One evening, as I was helping Samantha with her homework, the doorbell rang. I opened it to find Selina standing there, a false smile plastered on her face. Emily, dear, she cooed, I thought we could have a little chat. Woman to woman. I stood my ground, blocking the entrance. I have nothing to say to you, Selina. Please leave. Her smile faltered. Now don't be difficult. I'm here to help you see reason, for Samantha's sake. At the mention of my daughter, something snapped inside me. Don't you dare use Samantha as a pawn in your games, I hissed. You've done enough damage. Selina's eyes narrowed. I'm warning you, Emily. If you go through with this divorce, I'll make sure you lose everything, including Samantha. Is that a threat? I asked, my voice dangerously low. It's a promise, she replied, her mask of civility finally dropping. I have connections you can't even imagine. One word from me, and your career will be in shambles. You'll be lucky to get a job flipping burgers. I laughed, the sound harsh and bitter. You really don't know when to quit, do you? I'm not that scared little girl you bullied at your birthday party anymore, Selina. I have evidence of Mitch's affair, proof of financial misconduct, and a rock-solid case for full custody. So go ahead, make your threats. I'm not backing down. Selina's face contorted with rage. She opened her mouth to retort, but I slammed the door in her face, my heart pounding. As I leaned against the door, trying to catch my breath, I heard Samantha's small voice behind me. Mommy, was that Grandma? Why was she yelling? I turned to find my daughter standing in the hallway, her eyes wide with confusion and fear. In that moment, I realized I couldn't keep shielding her from the truth. She deserved to understand why her world was changing. Kneeling down to her level, I took her hands in mine. Sweetheart, we need to talk about Daddy and Grandma and why things are going to be different from now on. As I explained the situation in terms she could understand, leaving out the most painful details, I saw a mix of emotions cross her face, sadness, anger, and finally a resolve that mirrored my own. Are we going to be okay, Mommy? She asked, her voice small but steady. I pulled her into a tight hug. Yes, baby. We're going to be more than okay. We're going to be strong and brave, and we're going to build a new life together, just you and me. As I held my daughter, I felt a surge of determination. Selina's threats had only strengthened my resolve. I would fight not just for myself, but for Samantha's future. That night, after tucking Samantha in, I made a decision. It was time to take control of the narrative. I couldn't let Selina spin her web of lies and manipulation any longer. I picked up my phone and dialed Gibbs's number. I need your help, I said when he answered. It's time we expose Selina for who she really is, to everyone. Gibbs's voice was grim but supportive. I'm with you, Emily. What's the plan? As I outlined my ideas, a sense of purpose filled me. The final showdown with Selina was coming, and this time, I would be the one calling the shots. The day of Selina's birthday party arrived, and with it, a storm of emotions I could barely contain. The Gibbs and I had spent weeks preparing for this moment, gathering evidence and steeling our nerves. As I dressed for the party, I caught my reflection in the mirror. Determination blazed in my eyes, replacing the fear and uncertainty that had haunted me for so long. Are you sure about this, Emily? Gibbs asked as we pulled up to the Adams' sprawling estate. I nodded, my jaw set. It's time to end this, once and for all. We entered the house to find it buzzing with guests, all orbiting around Selina like planets around a toxic sun. She spotted us immediately, her eyes narrowing as she glided over. Emily, darling, she cooed, air-kissing my cheek. How brave of you to show up, and Gilbert, always a pleasure. I forced a smile. I wouldn't miss it for the world, Selina. As the evening wore on, I bided my time watching Selina hold court among her sycophants. Mitch was there too, looking uncomfortable and avoiding my gaze. The tension in the room was palpable, a powder keg waiting for a spark. Finally, as Selina prepared to make her birthday speech, I knew it was time. I caught Gibbs's eye across the room, and he gave me a subtle nod. I stepped forward, glass in hand. "Selina, before you begin, I'd like to say a few words." A hush fell over the crowd. Selina's smile faltered for a moment before she recovered. "Of course, dear. How thoughtful of you." I took a deep breath and addressed the room. "We're here to celebrate Selina's birthday, but I think it's time we celebrated something else, the truth." Murmurs rippled through the guests. Selina's eyes flashed with anger. "Emily, this is hardly the time." "It's exactly the time," I cut her off. "For years, I've watched you manipulate and control everyone around you, Selina. You've threatened me, tried to destroy my marriage, and now you're trying to take my daughter away. But no more." I turned to the stunned crowd. "What you don't know is that Mitch has been having an affair for years, with Selina's full knowledge and approval." Gasps echoed through the room. Mitch stepped forward, his face pale. "Emily, please." "Save it, Mitch." I snapped. "I have proof, text messages, photos, financial records, all showing how you and your mother conspired to deceive me and everyone else." Selina's carefully constructed mask of civility cracked. "You ungrateful little—" "I'm not finished," I interrupted, my voice ringing out clear and strong. "Selina has been embezzling money from her own charity for years. Gibbs, would you care to elaborate?" Gibbs stepped forward, producing a thick folder. "I have documentation here showing years of financial misconduct. Selina has been using the charity as her personal piggy bank, stealing from those who need it most." The room erupted into chaos. Guests whispered furiously, some edging towards the door. Selina's face contorted with rage. "You'll regret this," she hissed. "I'll destroy you, Emily. You'll never work in this town again. I'll make sure you lose everything." I stood my ground, meeting her gaze. "No, Selina, you're the one who's lost everything. Your reputation, your son's respect, and any power you thought you had over me." Suddenly, Selina lunged at me, her manicured nails clawing at my face. I stumbled backward, shocked by her ferocity. Gibbs and several guests rushed to pull her off me. "You ruined everything," Selina shrieked, struggling against those restraining her. "This was supposed to be my night." As security guards a hysterical Selina from the room, I found myself face to face with Mitch. His eyes were pleading, filled with remorse and fear. "Emily, I'm so sorry," he whispered. "I never meant for it to go this far." I looked at him, the man I had once loved, now a stranger. "It's too late for sorry, Mitch. We're done." As I turned to leave, my heart pounding and adrenaline coursing through my veins, I realized this was far from over. The real battle for my daughter, my future, and my dignity was just beginning. But for the first time in years, I felt ready to face whatever came next. The aftermath of Selina's birthday party was a whirlwind of chaos. As I stood in my lawyer's office the next day, my head still spinning from the events of the previous night, I knew the real battle was just beginning. "Emily," my lawyer Sarah said gravely, "Selina and Mitch have filed for full custody of Samantha. They're claiming you're mentally unstable and unfit to be a mother." My heart plummeted. "What? How can they do that?" Sarah sighed. "They're using your outburst at the party as evidence. Plus, they've somehow gotten hold of your work records, showing your recent distraction." I felt the room closing in on me. Everything I'd fought for was slipping away. "This can't be happening," I whispered. Just then my phone buzzed. It was Gibbs. "Emily, turn on the news. Now." Sarah flicked on the office TV and my jaw dropped. There, splashed across the screen, were photos of Mitch with his mistress. Recent photos. The headline read, "Prominent Architect's Affair Exposed." "I don't understand," I said, turning to Gibbs, who had just burst into the office. "How did this get out?" Gibbs smiled grimly. "Let's just say I have friends in high places, but that's not all." He produced a USB drive. "This contains records of all of Selina's financial misdeeds, embezzlement, tax evasion, you name it, it's all here." Sarah's eyes widened as she plugged in the drive. This changes everything." As we pored over the documents, my phone rang again. It was Mitch. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Emily, please," he begged, his voice ragged. "Call off the dogs. We can work this out." I felt a surge of anger. "Work what out, Mitch? How you and your mother tried to take my daughter away. How you've been lying to me for years." I'm sorry, he said. I never wanted it to go this far. Mother, she has a way of twisting things. Please, just meet with us for Samantha's sake. I hesitated, looking at Gibbs and Sarah. They nodded encouragingly. Fine, I said. 1 hour. At the house. When I arrived, Selena and Mitch were already there, that looking haggard and defeated. Selena's usual poise was gone, replaced by a desperate, cornered look. Let's cut to the chase, I said, sitting down. I have evidence of your affair, Mitch, and your financial crimes, Selena. If you don't drop this custody suit and agree to my terms, I'll take it all public. Selena's eyes flashed. You wouldn't dare. I leaned forward, my voice steel. Try me. For a moment, I thought Selena might lunge at me again. But then, something in her seemed to deflate. What do you want? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Full custody of Samantha, I said. Mitch can have supervised visitation. Selena, you'll step down from your charity and make full restitution, and you'll both leave us alone. Mitch looked ready to protest, but Selena put a hand on his arm. We don't have a choice, she muttered. As they signed the agreement Sarah had quickly drawn up, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders, but it wasn't over yet. There's one more thing, I said, my voice shaking slightly. I want you both to tell Samantha the truth, about everything. She deserves to know why her family is falling apart. Mitch's face crumpled. Emily, please. She's just a child. A child who deserves honesty, I replied firmly. As we called Samantha into the room, my heart raced. This was the moment that would define our future, my daughter's and mine. I watched as confusion, then hurt, then anger flashed across her young face as Mitch stumbled through his confession. When he finished, Samantha turned to me, her eyes brimming with tears. Mommy, can we go home now? I pulled her into my arms, feeling her small body shake with sobs. Yes, baby, we can go home. As we walked out, leaving Mitch and Selena behind, I knew we had a long road ahead. But for the first time in months, I felt hope. We were free and we were together. Whatever came next, we would face it as a team, just Samantha and me. 6 months after the confrontation with Mitch and Selena, I stood in our new apartment, surrounded by half-unpacked boxes. Samantha was at school, and I had taken the day off to finish settling us in. As I hung a family photo, just Samantha and me now, I felt a bittersweet pang. So much had changed, but we were finally free. The doorbell rang, startling me from my reverie. I opened it to find Gibbs standing there, a warm smile on his face. Just thought I'd check in on you two, he said, stepping inside. How's the unpacking going? I sighed, gesturing at the chaos around us. Slowly but surely. It's strange, starting over like this. Gibbs nodded, his eyes full of understanding. You're doing amazingly, Emily. I'm proud of you. As we sat down for coffee, Gibbs updated me on the aftermath of our confrontation. Selena had been forced to step down from her charity, the scandal too much for the board to ignore. Mitch had lost several high-profile clients, his reputation in tatters. And how are you holding up? I asked Gibbs, knowing how painful it must be to distance himself from his son and wife. He sighed heavily. It's not easy, but I know I made the right choice. Family is about more than blood, Emily. It's about loyalty, trust, and doing what's right. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Mitch. Can we talk? I miss Samantha. I showed the message to Gibbs, my hands shaking slightly. I don't know what to do, I admitted. Part of me wants to keep him away forever, but I know Samantha needs her father. Gibbs placed a comforting hand on my arm. You'll figure it out, Emily. You always do. As Gibbs left, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I had faced down Selena, stood up to Mitch, and rebuilt my life from the ground up. I could handle this too. That evening, as Samantha and I sat down to dinner, I broached the subject gently. Sweetie, your dad wants to see you. How do you feel about that? Samantha pushed her peas around her plate, her brow furrowed in thought. Will Grandma Selena be there? No, honey. Just your dad. She nodded slowly. Oh, but can you come too, Mommy? I felt a lump form in my throat. Of course, baby. Always. As I tucked Samantha into bed that night, I marveled at her resilience. Despite everything, she still found reasons to smile, to hope. I knew then that we would be okay. The next morning, I woke up early, a sense of calm settling over me. I had an important meeting at work, my first big presentation since the divorce. As I dressed, I caught sight of myself in the mirror. Gone was the uncertain, fearful woman I had been just months ago. In her place stood someone stronger, wiser, and unafraid to face whatever life threw her way. At work, I nailed the presentation. My boss pulled me aside afterward, a proud smile on his face. "Emily, I don't know what's changed, but whatever it is, keep it up. You're on track for that promotion we discussed." As I drove to pick up Samantha from school, I felt a sense of accomplishment wash over me. We had weathered the storm, Samantha and I, and come out stronger on the other side. Samantha bounded into the car, her face alight with excitement. "Mommy, I got the lead in the school play." I hugged her tightly, my heart swelling with pride and love. "That's wonderful, sweetheart. We'll have to celebrate." As we drove home, Samantha chattering happily beside me, I realized that this moment of simple joy was what I had been fighting for all along. Not the big house or the perfect family image, but the freedom to be ourselves, to love and support each other without manipulation or deceit. That night, as I sat on our small balcony, watching the city lights twinkle in the distance, I felt truly at peace for the first time in years. The road ahead wouldn't always be easy, I knew. There would be challenges, co-parenting with Mitch, helping Samantha navigate her new reality, continuing to prove myself at work. But I was ready for it all. Because now I knew my own strength, and I had the unconditional love of my daughter to sustain me. Whatever came next, we would face it together with resilience, grace, and the unshakable bond between a mother and her child. As I closed my eyes, breathing in the cool night air, I smiled. This wasn't the end of our story, it was the beginning of a new, better chapter.